this morning. Thank you all for attending our annual Poetry by the Bay, hosted by our wonderful host, the Porte Library. They just put on such a nice spread for us, and the room is great. So thank you all for coming here and taking advantage of this. We have several of our members who have signed up to read this morning, and we are going to start off with Ellen Seaton. There you are. I've known Ellen for several years now. She's been a board member from just about the moment she was eligible to be on the board, maybe a few moments before that. So welcome.
I'm going to start so you can even more appreciate all the other poets in the room, because there are some fabulous poets here. I write short stories, fiction, memoir, but when I was 6 years old, I wrote my first poem, and it did actually get published in the school newsletter, so I had my first publication credit at 6. You haven't heard it yet. I have a pig who dances a jig and wears a beetle wig. You're welcome. And if you don't get the term beetle wig, you have to look up the 4 mop tops, John, Paul, George, and Ringo. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Ellen. Next up is Jean King. It turns out I probably knew Jean 50 years ago. We attended the same high school, home of the Fighting Tigers. And we figured it out just recently that we attended the same school for about 3 years. So Jean, welcome.
Excellent book. I'm going to stand behind this thing. Okay, and this is my second time doing a reading out in front of people, so please be kind. In the beginning, there was no light, there were no sounds, no words. Softly in the slow darkness, a quiet glow emerged along the curve of the horizon. The sound of water summoned itself, flowing gentle, a wisp, a whisper, breathing itself into a babble, seeking its level, ever downward, stroking and caressing each pebble and boulder in its way, patiently broadening and deepening its path, wearing away at all obstacles, forming itself into a river, reflecting the brightening sky. It ambled and rushed as it carried the worn-down pieces, now reduced to grains of sand, to the place where it joined the sea, where together they could form beaches that the water touched, rhythmically with foamy fingers of swells and swirls and waves, the sands of the shore forming ripples below the water's surface. And our second poem. There are no words left. You've gone where I can't go. Words and words have flowed round and round, torrents of sound, avalanches, words wasted, some unused, never spoken. Now howl to the silent moon, a barrage fired off with the intent to hurt, to maim, perhaps to kill. But there's no one left to hear them. How could you leave before we finished?
So was the first time this time last year? Because I could have sworn.
I didn't read last year. I read on
Okay.
one of the things on the Zoom meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Next up is Margo, Stutts Toombs. One of my few moments of brilliance occurred when I contacted Margo to be on the WiVLA board. She has been an amazing addition to the board for the past couple of years. Notice how I put credit.
And I would for sending me all these great suggestions for workshops and places to visit, and she gave me contact information, and so kudos. Okay. Oh wait, I'm gonna wait on this. Last year there were children in the audience, and so I wanted to bring a poem for children. And because it's being recorded, hopefully some of those children who were here last year will come again. So the first poem is called Brain Rap. It was inspired by a conversation on Facebook. I had put a picture up there, posted a picture of me cleaning up my house, and someone saw this. It's a Jell-O mold for a brain for Halloween. So there's a brain mold, brain wrap. Is that a brain in a bin? Brain in a tin bin? Is it sane? Hell yeah, a sane brain. Or maybe an insane brain in a tin bin on a knick-knack rack. Not a sack, call it Mac or Jack. Knick-knack paddywhack. Give that brain a bin, shot of gin for a win and some sin. Put it low, call it bow. Pour in Jell-O. Make it cherry or berry, not gray, no way. Let's play outside the skull. Watch it shake, make it quake, put on cake. Call it Jake, float on lake for heaven's sake. Want to pick it? I don't know. Ready, go. A brain on a train, brain train. A brain in the rain, brainstorm. A brain in a bucket of soap, brain wash. A surfing brain, brain waves. A brain too cold, brain freeze. A brain in a sink, brain drain. This next poem is called Lazarus Cloth. My watercolor artist cousin and I are going to create a video based on, and I got the ECHO grant from WiVLA's, so we're going to spend some of that money making this video. Lazarus Cloth. She raised her brood on wits and will, crops grown in her suburban garden, dropped into pots of stew, leaving skins behind to fall into compost piles and fuel future meals. Nothing is wasted when you live near the poorhouse. Her food sorcery was legendary. Pasta from leftover flour, homemade breads made by ear, casseroles crafted from yesterday's repast. Her true witchery was giving a second life to fabric that survived decomposing clothes, fabric on the cusp of becoming threadbare, fabric before it surrendered to the unraveling. She wove her magic with these scraps, quilts, vests, jackets, purses. Threads of her talent stitched the family together, a patchwork of colors that didn't match. This resurrection of crops and cloth left little time for offspring, but they loved her, like baby beasts love the one who keeps the wolves from the door. Without crying, so. Okay, so this is Chap the dog. And the name of this poem is It Rough? Is it rough being an average dog, shunned by the beauty bitches, the poodles and the Maltese, and wearing that scruffy coat, abhorred by Afghans and Shih Tzus? Is it rough being an average dog, as small as a Chihuahua, and legs too short to glide like a greyhound and golden retriever? Is it rough being an average dog, and no trace of Cavalier King Charles and Great Dane regality, and no pats on the head from strangers? We are a couple of curs, and cursed to love the lovelies from behind the windows on our Costco beds. Is it rough being an average dog, chap, and just one letter short of champ? Okay, one last. So I just started taking a music class, and so we will have a recital after the class. So I haven't decided what kind of song I want to do, but I might try to do a rap song. So thank you for indulging me on this. This is called Urban Street Music. Slip me some groovy noise, some heat for my feet, a rap for my toe tap. Make me doo-wop, doo-wop, and bebop, bebop. Pee-wow, 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 pee-wow. Shake my drums with crazy beats, scratch some scat, some urban chat. Sha-na-na-na, sha-na-na-na. Boddly-boo, boddly-boo, oobity-doo, oobity-doo. Give me some babble, some scratchy and ratchy. Make my heart beat on this broken street. Streeto, streeto, looky, looky. Woe me, woe me, woe me, woe me. Drain my brain of verbal goo. Fill it up with beatbox brew. Pee-wow, pee-wow, bebop, bebop. Doo-wop, 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 doo-wop. Thank you.
Thank you, Margo. I sometimes try to visualize what kind of flight attendant you were.
Yeah, there's some stories about that. That's for a different time.
I look forward to the stories. Next up is Beatrice Stewart. I met Beatrice online a couple of Poetry Month years ago during the midst of the pandemic, and it's been so delightful to get to see her in person, and she's now on the board. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all. Glad you're here. I have 3 short poems today. Mother's Day is coming up, so I'll read one on mothers. Mothers pray. I have been praying a lot these past few years, praying in the old way, the way my mother and grandmothers prayed, on their knees, hands clasped in supplication, head bowed in humility. Mothers pray. I see my mother praying, thinking of her mother praying, connecting all mothers, including Mother Earth, one to the other, from one generation to the other. Mothers pray. Within Mother Earth, across the globe, mothers create the horizontal arms of the cross as they pray for all humanity. Mothers across the globe create the vertical arms of the cross as they pray in gratitude that the world be saved from brutalities. Mothers pray. Mother is gone now. Her prayers, like a handy umbrella, continues to shield me from stormy seas. Her prayers still vibrate in the air, sending messengers from here to there. Mothers pray. Second poem. Well, America. America, your veneer of democracy has worn thin enough for all to see the sham of justice and liberty. Like sheer paper, we see through your fake democracy. We see the big lie that we are free and know that we have no freedom or equality. We know that old cliche, we reap what we sow, or I'd rather drink muddy water and sleep in a hollowed log than be a slave of woe. Beware, America. Karma, she is a bitch. Dressed in red, from her head to her high-heel, steel-toed shoes, which she chooses to use, but does not abuse. Last one, physicalities. You speak in negative terms about your weight and other physicalities. Yes, I see your physical self. I see the soul of you. I see the whole of you and love all of you. I do. I see you as you are and as you wish to be. I see you not just with lover's eyes, but with a loving heart. I do. I see you as that higher self that you seek and wish to be, and love you even more for seeking and wishing and striving for transformation. I do. Thank you. If you like those forms, you can find more of them on Amazon. And if you go on Amazon, follow me, give me 5 stars and a raving review.
Yeah, that's a good reminder, actually. If any of you have links to websites, Facebook pages, whatever, send them to info@WiVLA.org, and I'll make sure they're noted with the video when we post it. So, thank you, Beatrice. Next is Kay McStay. And Kay McStay has been an active member of WiVLA for many, many years, and a wonderful contributor.
Well, thank you.
So glad you're here today.
And I served on the board, I'm just not on it now, but maybe we'll get back to it. I was on the board for 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
Well, you are all very nice to be here on this lovely Earth Day, and I hope everybody had a good trip down here. I enjoyed my drive. I'm thrilled to be here, and I am not a poet. I am a playwright and a monologuist, so you're going to get a sampling of a couple of my monologues, okay? So there's a few people in the room that our friendship goes way back, and you may have heard this one before, but when I said I was coming, my husband said, well, you have to read, and he said the name of this, so. Joining. It's a woman's voice, and this was written at the old Archway Gallery after Louisa gave us, Louisa Smith, who's also a member of WiVLA and the Archway Readings, gave us a prompt from Diana Arbus, had written a postcard to her lover, and she read that as a prompt, and then we all sat down and we wrote something. And here's mine. Joining. Remember that time? The first time we drove to the shore, to Ocean City? We were so excited. Well, I remember being excited. I was 9. You were the baby. I mean a baby. Not even 1 yet. You probably can't remember. Mom made us pack so economically with all of us in the station wagon. I had to share a suitcase with Mark and some of your baby things in there too. I used to run to the bathroom to watch Mom pack her train case, her hairspray and medicines, mine too, stuff for you and Marianne. She had copper tone and baby oil. What we didn't know about the sun will kill us. Hair clips, toothpaste, and toothbrushes, Dad's razor. I loved how she made it all fit exactly so. And then she put the little tray in, snapped it shut. Oh, and how Dad packed the car and the roof rack. I was supposed to watch you, but I kept running in and out of the front door, carrying stuff, getting in the way. I wanted to help, but it was the boys who got to sling the straps and smooth the tarp for the suitcases. You were an easy baby. You just sat and watched us. I always had a great fear that as we sped along, the canvas would come undone and the suitcase would just rise up in the rushing air and their snaps unsnap and all of our clothes would come tumbling out. I was embarrassed just thinking about it. Well, you know the drill. All packed at night, we got up exceedingly early and set off for the 4-hour drive. I always sat by you and Mom and Mary Ann, but this trip, the boys were testy and I was up front by Dad in the middle with Mark, and the boys were in the way back of the station wagon. I can barely contain myself because I was going to see the ocean for the very first time. It made me fidget, and Dad told me to stop. Do you remember any of this? Anyway, here's the strange part. You know when you cross that big bridge outside of Philly, I was up there in front looking out of the windshield across to those industrial plants on the other side. Is it New Jersey? Anyway, at that moment, I thought about God the Father. You know, a 9-year-old's God. And I had this vision, this clear vision of God, way up high, looking down on that industrial scene and looking down on us in our station wagon on the bridge. And I turned and I looked at you on Mom's lap in the back seat, and your eyes were big too. Thank you.
Thanks, gang. Those of us who grew up with road trips, we're in the car with you there.
9 of us in the station wagon.
My family was a little smaller. Next is Sandi Stromberg. Yeah, Sandi is also another longtime member of WiVLA and fabulous poet. So happy that you're here with us today.
Thank you. Yeah, I've actually been a member of WiVLA for 24 years.
Wow.
And very active in the first years. Did literary co-chair like Ellen for a couple of years. And then we had an advisory board for many years, and I served on that. And that was really interesting because we came up with lots of ideas that we fed to the board, but no responsibility to make them happen.
We can put you back on the board.
Yeah. Okay, I have 2 kind of serious poems, and then end with a little humor. So, unfortunately, I do not have the ability to write in the way Margo does. That gets us all laughing. So, anyway. I'm a fairly recent widow, and poetry has given me a way to work through the widowhood. And the first poem I'm going to read is in 2 parts. It's called Widow's Diptych, or Now That My Husband's Gone. 1. My apologies to the displaced wildlife for obliterating the wooden deck, for taking away your comfy lairs, dead leaves, tired dirt. Forgive me, beetles, spiders, centipedes, scurrying for refuge. My apologies to the pipes, corroded by chemicals and time, decades of iron red water lingering in your passageways. Forgive me for pulling out your galvanized hearts, implanting PEX plastic. To the snails who have nibbled holes in the roof's shingles, I apologize. How could you have known your feasts and summer picnics wouldn't last forever? Forgive me for having you scraped and scrapped. And to you, venerable water heater, who served for 28 years, forgive me for having you carted off for a younger model. Forgive me, house, in my search for new beginnings as we age together just the two of us now. 2. The clock strikes 4:30 a.m. I sit at the window, staring into darkness, dawn still far away. A bird begins to sing, but no chorus answers. There is only this dark solo that might be grief to match my own, or a soliloquy to the day's possibilities. If this were Shakespeare, I would expect Romeo and Juliet chagrin, hark, hark, the lark. But such deadlines no longer govern me. Love has come and lived in a few years in this house. Now there's me and the bird I cannot name, his trills, his unexpected song. And the other one is kind of a move forward poem. My college roommate and I, who go back now more than 50 years, which is hard to believe, who also is a widow, we decided to, she lives in Sacramento, and we decided to meet in Santa Fe last October. And it was just such a meaningful, we are still good together after living together for 4 years in college. When we see each other, it's like, I don't know, God made us to live together, so. This one is called Prescription for Widowhood. Fly to Santa Fe, find Venus in the sky of a waxing moon, give up maps and being one who must know. Your pathway is under construction in the city of red and green chilies, clanging cathedral bells, clay pots. Meditate when melatonin and the generous shaker of margaritas don't erase the loss of your beloved. Hold a pot in your hands, caress its earthy roundness, its circle of life and love. Be with it. It came out of fire, strong, alive. It deserves respect. Recognize the stories of its people, separated, displaced, broken as you have been. Place your ear on the mouth of the pot. It once held water, gray grains of salt, essences of a pueblo. It will whisper stories about the 4 phases of life in languages ancient as its gods. Gather the words in Tiwa, Tewa, Towa, Dine. Your heart will understand each one. When the winter solstice comes, ground yourself in clay. Bless your cracks, your breaks, your knocks, your rough edges. Sing into yourself. Hear a song of endurance singing back. Thank you. And now for fun. A picky palate. I trust potatoes. Baked, fried, chipped, and mashed. Even boiled, if slathered with butter. I carry them around like souvenirs. My hips, thighs, belly sing their praises, joyful for the calories, carbohydrates, cholesterol. All ingredients that keep flesh and bone together, functioning, firmly starched. It's marshmallows I deem untrustworthy. From the first deceptive bite of sticky, soft stucco, I refute their claims you can't stop eating us. We melt in your mouth. I refuse potluck offerings of red, green, and orange Jell-O, those fluffy fruit salads. And who could give thanks for a huge dish of yams, white cobbled, and seated at the right-hand side of the big bird? But their greatest act of deception? Thinking chocolate and graham crackers could trick me into filling my mouth with crusty goo.
Thanks, Sandy. I understand you can make s'mores from Peeps, so I'm all about that.
S'mores from what?
Peeps.
Oh, these are just sugar covered.
Come on, I'm a Peeps lover, y'all. Let's simmer down here. Were you going to read? Sure. Okay. I weren't on my list, but I saw all of these papers and I had kind of a feeling. Sure. Next up is Jere Pfister. I've been privileged to have a couple of Zoom calls with Jere reading poetry, and always glad that nobody could see me, my eyes welling up with tears as she read. So I always look forward to hearing your poetry. Thanks.
Unnamed woman. When I married in 1960, I became like the unnamed women in the Bible, like Job's wife, who nursed his sores and fed him gruel of bone broth, while his God and the devil played their own games at her expense. After 10, count them, 10 children died, crushed by the stones of the wheat barn, like the bread of life. This woman sucked their bones and wailed and danced under the light of the moon in hopes of regenerating life. But none of this is told in the written text. Theologians of old only counted out her 10 words as she cursed her husband for moaning his fate. The story ends with Job being blessed with 10 more children. His wife remains unnamed, mentioned only in passing. When I took a wrong turn, I found myself. When I took a wrong turn, I found my way to the other. When I took a wrong turn, I discovered the way. When I took a wrong turn, I found a new path to follow. When I took a wrong turn, I found the wonder of the forbidden. When I took a wrong turn, I found the excitement of discovery. When I took a wrong turn, I found freedom. When I took a wrong turn, I found the knowledge of experience. When I began to deliberately take wrong turns, I found my way back to me, knowing there are no wrong turns when first I took a wrong turn. Variations on an old love song is perhaps one of my most favorite poems about marriage and aging. He can no longer find me across a crowded room. I watch him panic, fearing that I have left him. I call out, but he cannot hear me. I walk toward him. He moves away, winding his way through strangers. I stalk him, reach out, gently I touch his arm. Here I am, recognition. Where were you? I see this old man walking aimlessly through the parking lot, and then I recognize the stoop of his shoulders and head. My husband has lost his car. I see it parked across from Goodwill, where he searches for romances. I pull next to him. Are you stalking me, woman? I'm a happily married man. Sometimes, I say, a smile fills his eyes. He can still recognize a joke. I am not a widow. Before I met you, I had no intention of falling in love or becoming engaged or married. I was young. After I said yes, you insisted that marriage meant staying together until death, no divorce. I knew from experience that divorce was sometimes necessary for survival. On our wedding day, I prayed for our marriage to be free of impediments. And because I was a wandering wind and tried to run away or leave many times, silly, I know you were so popular and loved and respected, but something has broken deep inside of me. And now I do not know if I can continue walking with and caring for you. I know something has broken an abyss inside of your brain. Your heart has made me afraid of you. That is the dilemma of living together until death. Suppressed rage can kill love and the beloved. When I read this, he said, "This makes me afraid of you."
Thank you, Jere. Next is Carrie Carter. Carrie is one of our newer honorary members. She was a speaker at a meeting earlier this year. I can't remember what month. February. Thank you. And in an exchange of email messages, it seemed like we read the same books growing up. I've never known another person that read Trixie Belden books. So yeah, we had several things in common. So I am very pleased that you are joining us today.
Is it all right if I stand here? Okay. The podium seems a little formal. I'm going to read a poem. Some of you may have heard it. I read it at Archway. I don't write a whole lot of poems. I write more short stories and novels and fiction, that kind of things. But I wrote this because I have a dent in my forehead. And now I have a second dent in my forehead. It's like I went to the doctor and I'm like, don't worry. So this is a poem for my dent. Ode to my dent. Surprise! There's a dent in my forehead. One day it was there when I got out of bed. Large and massive like parting of the Red Sea. Can anyone else see this, or is it just me? Will it sprout into a glittery horn, making me an off-centered unicorn? Give me success, perhaps, in porn? Maybe it's a journey, a call to be a hero, but my head hangs, I don't move forward. I think my chances of success are zero. Maybe the dent will give me powers and help me identify sinners, the whores, the gamblers, and well, let's face it, some of them are winners. Maybe it will move my body to the levels of a pro dancer. Wishful thinking, I know, but thank goodness it's not cancer. Another one in the theme of the marshmallows. This is pumpkin pie. Time to be grateful, time to care, time to say grace before luring the kids into your lair. You give them chocolate, pecan, and even coconut pies, but then comes down to the largest of lies. You call it dessert, a mash of puree, spices and such, tufts of whipped cream, so thick it will float like a cloud of dreams, where plunks down in precious crowns on top of orange in hope of smiles and not frowns. But the silence covers the truth. They all know it's not candy or fruit, but why stop with pumpkin? Why not go out? Broccoli blended topped with sugar, or maybe mushed Brussels sprouts, drizzled with chocolate, a bit of sugary glaze. Top it with cinnamon, everyone will graze. Sweet veggie pie, they will amaze. How about in a sweet puff pastry or graham cracker crust? Maybe the vegetarians' bellies will brim with lust. Oh, that's too weird, everyone will say. Instead, make pie from pumpkin. It's perfect for the day, where people say their thanks and all, and the next day push each other down at the shopping mall. Happy Thanksgiving.
I believe we have one remaining speaker and a reader, and that's Gladys Mae. Is there anybody else? By popular demand, Gladys Mae goes last. Nobody wants to follow Gladys Mae. So, yes.
Read a short thing again, too.
Okay. It just won't be after Gladys Mae.
Coones.
Katie Coones. So glad we have some of these surprise readers.
Hello, I was a member of WiVLA 8 years ago for maybe 10 years, and I read at the Archway, and I was a friend of Vassar Miller, and this poem is in memory of her late. We had marshmallows, we had puffs, we had pumpkin pie, and now it's divinity. Recipe for divinity. Behold the wonders of wiki and artificial intelligence. If you read it online, it must be true. Our fingertips tingling for novelty, forever searching. We are the daughters of Faust. Our knowledge poor poppy hankered for gold, stalked that sly fox, meaning, trespassed in the devil's garden, and became a stranger to himself. Martha's sisters, we Google a recipe for divinity, whip up cloud metaphors for the sublime, he, she, and it of the heavens. Our creations peak, then fall. We blame it on the humidity. Minions of the internet, we backslide to the World Wide Web. We never expected a spider. Mephistopheles, by any other name, smells just as rank. Captured, we thumb through Grandma's index cards, only to incinerate our confections with fire and brimstone. Enslaved, we consult the cookbook from the First Church of Honolulu, only to gag on puff, bereft of magic. Undaunted and quixotic, we sally forth to forego that wanton lover, gold, to disembark from chariots of meaning, headed toward a cul-de-sac, and to pluck weeds from our own homegrown gardens. Transformed, we trust the truths of our imaginations and honor the forte of our feelings.
Thank you. And once again, Kay McStay.
I was while working at Rice every once in a while, the student groups would put out a challenge, and one time there was a challenge to write something about women's bodies. You know, we were coffee clatching, and we were doing all kinds of things to bring women forward on campus. We had a women's conference sponsored by the president's office and that. And so one year I wrote this. So this is a woman, 50 or 60 years old, speaking. "Oh yes, I can tell you about my body. What do you want to know? On a college campus, there's probably not a great deal of interest in a middle-aged female body, what with nubile young things of both sexes in flip-flops and t-shirts and shorts everywhere. But I've got things to tell you, like, I have very nice nipples. Not many have seen them, unless you count doctors and nurses. Really, only my husband gets to view, and he's madly in love with them, and it suits me just fine. I have other good features. Now I say good because there's features I've always liked about myself. Take, for example, my feet. They're thin and delicate looking with long, narrow toes. I like them. My legs are good looking with firm and shapely muscles that served me well with mini skirts in my college years. I looked damn good. Oh, how I tingled and smiled then. My hands are average, but I like them. When I take care of them, smooth cream on them, push back the cuticles, file the nails, they are feminine and elegant. My face is attractive, small-featured, and shall I say, well put together. I have my father's nose and my mother's cheeks. I have a Habsburg chin. And if I have to describe that, you all better go back to History 101. Actually, I don't like my chin all that much, but it goes as it goes with chins, and it's from a long line of similar chins. I love my eyes. They're one of my best features. Intensely blue, expressive, alert. Shall I push your credibility and say sparkling with intelligence, humor, and wisdom? They used to be sparkling with intelligent youth and innocence and idealism and romantic notions. But I've delighted they've moved on to sparkling with compassion and wisdom. My hips or stomach are womanly, round, and full, and I like that too. You can't have kids and not have the maternal sag. Well, you can, but it doesn't mean that much to me to exercise. I think I have one funny feature. I have very small, thin ankles. In fact, they look too thin and perhaps weak. In olden days of nylon stockings, my toes would snag and bunch and droop at my ankles. What a damn shame. Ruined the fact of these shapely legs a few times, I know that. Certainly made me self-conscious and awkward in high heels, even now. My ankles are so small that sometimes I'm worried that they're not strong enough to bear me up, that they can't sustain the frame and weight of the rest of me. I've had nightmares that they snap in two, and my feet fall off, and I'm left standing. Would it be standing or fallen with no feet, like statues of the ancient great goddess? You know the ones I mean, the stones and clay goddesses like the Earth Mother of Willendorf, all bulbous breasts and huge abdomens and healthy looking rolls of flesh on beautifully tapered legs with no feet, the broken ankles with nothing attached. I'm sorry that her ankles and feet are gone. I get so sad when I see her with no base, no help at all from scores of ankle and feet bones to keep her upright on the earth. I calm my secret ankle fear by dreaming of the goddess immersed in water or in a stream bed, lying on her side on a mossy green hill, buried deep on her back in a grave, or maybe nestled among rocks and pebbles. I try to imagine her dangling, hung from a branch or a necklace maybe, even flying. But I can't. She's too solidly real. Feet or no feet. She's got to be on or in the earth. She was formed for life. She is life. Like I was formed. I mean, like I am.
Well, thank you for reading the second time. That was great. Okay, and last but certainly not least, is Gladys Mae Bullock. We attended a workshop about a year ago, and it came down to the end where two people had to read, so I guess, bios that we'd written, and Gail chose to go last, and so Gladys Mae read her bio, and Gail said she makes mistakes. You know, she suffers from poor judgment. Never go before Gladys Mae. So
Oh my God.
I'm looking forward to hearing you again this morning.
That's a lot of faith in me and belief in me, and sometimes I have not had that much faith and belief in myself, as y'all be talking about. So I hope I deliver this afternoon. As we are, where all of us are of a particular age, we begin to look and reflect over our careers, our youthfulness, and I too do the same thing. And I'm going to be doing 4 poems. They're very short, but it kind of reflects on where I am really today, because I actually wrote the last one. I finished it up actually yesterday, and I started writing on it, gave birth to it on April the 13th, and I did some tweaks on it on April the 20th, and I finalized it on April the 21st. So that's the last one. And the last one, I'm going to give you the name. I normally don't give names. It's called Winding Down. They fall. Do I pull them up, or do I let them drown? They are in flooded, dirty water. Do I hide or do I seek? No. The spiritual water of faith simmered in sweat, brought to a boil, bruised love. Please, please, God, give me my keys. Give me my keys of understanding of where I am now in my life. They're mad. They're mad because somebody caught them sagging. They're mad because somebody caught them doing bad. So sad, so sad. Does the food they eat always needs to be sweet, making them be obese? Peel it, bite it, but don't fight it. Slice it, dice it, but don't fight it. They're mad because somebody caught them doing bad. They're mad because somebody caught that sag. They're sad. Does the food they eat always have to be sweet? They're so sad. And now living with disease. Does these things eat at you too? Working in public education on the eve of 20 years, I've caught those sags. I've caught them being sad, the sags and being sad. And over some 20 years, every day you're in the classroom around a lot of sad or mad kids. I guess it is taking its toll on me. No more ladders to climb. No more Monday mornings will I say I hate being at work. No more Wednesday hump days, anxious for that Friday evening celebration. Yeah, I have no more of those ladders to climb. No more waiting in line for my next cup of coffee to be poured. I just shut my mouth and wait for my evaluation to give me the reason to why I am so happy that I have no more of those ladders to climb. I have new ladders to climb. I have an opportunity, once I retire, to be able to go on WiVLA's outings. I have new opportunities of starting my own podcast, but I have to let something go. I have to let something go. I have to wind down. I have to change my thoughts about I can save after 20 years of seeing sags. After 20 years of being in the classroom, my children are mad. go, well, you have let the spiritual waters of your love simmer in them and help them. I cannot beat the racket because I am not in that income bracket. But what I have are strokes to my swims, a cadence in my pedals, a pep in my steps, and the power of my pen. Amen. You see, I cannot beat the racket because I am not in that income bracket. So I come off the air and I grab a chair and go underneath the tree and I sleep. Oh, what peace. What peace. What peace. You see, I cannot beat the racket because I'm not in that income bracket. So this keeps me seeking a tree where I can just be able to embrace the season of shade for the grace of having the comfort and confidence of knowing that the racket would do its thing and I too will do my thing. Like listening to the birds sing, tweet, tweet, tweet. Oh my God, how sweet. Thank you, God, that I am not in that racket. Hallelujah, hallelujah, amen.
And I should add, as Ellen has pointed out several times, Gladys Mae has been the point person for this gathering today. We thank you very much. And I believe that concludes our readings for this morning. Yes. Thank you all so much for coming out. I think there will probably be some discussion about lunch, but I will turn off the camera for that discussion. Thank you, everyone.
And